big sky, big potential. In association with Mills and Reeve, this is Eastern Promise. Achieving more together. This is the podcast that bottles the East of England's audio lightning for your enlightenment, education and entertainment. Available all over the earth. We may not be live, but we're never neutral. Welcome to Eastern Promise. This week, you join us at the Earlham Institute for EI Innovate, the Institute's annual gathering of scientists from the fields of data, computers and genomics, bio and life sciences, to share the latest developments in the literal and metaphorical field. Alongside this, we'll be going bananas and discovering the Earlham Institute's work in training the next generation of scientists with the vital assistance of industry. So join me, Mike Rigby, at EI Innovate at the Earlham Institute to learn how to help life find a way on this week's Eastern Promise. Okay, confession time. I failed A-level biology. No, it's true. I got an N. And bless my mum, she tried to soften the blow by saying it meant nearly. That, you might think, would put me at a decided disadvantage when covering our region's expertise in, amongst other things, the life sciences. And you'd be right! Happily, through a combination of bluff, bluster, self-deprecation and disarming candour, I managed to not look like a complete noob when I visited the Earlham Institute on Norwich Research Park for their EI Innovate event. For an explanation of what the Earlham Institute does and what the EI Innovate event is for, here's the Institute's Head of Business Development and Impact, Dr. Lilia Sarazetdinova, to explain.
My name is Lilia Sarazetdinova. I'm Head of Business Development and Impact at the Earlham Institute. Earlham Institute is one of the BBSIC-funded institutes here on Norwich Research Park. We are one of the best hidden gems, probably. We are doing a lot of research related to developing new technologies for genomics and discovering how genomics can help to understand living organisms. EI Innovate is a one-day event. It has 3 sessions. The first session would be presenting early career researchers, talking about their projects, about the skills development they're gaining through interacting with other organizations. So they all would have worked with the partner organizations. Then we have a session showcasing our headline collaborations with companies like Syngenta or Tropic or AstraZeneca. And the last session will be about new technologies, capabilities here at the Institute, but also how we're supporting entrepreneurship. We also have a keynote speaker, Tom Ellis from Imperial College, who will be talking about his exciting research in synthetic biology. And that's not all. We have a very long lunch break on purpose, 2 hours. You can visit our facilities on tours. You can judge posters during poster competition, or you can network. And at the end of the day, there is a canopy reception there where you can continue some discussions you started during the day in a more informal setting. So there are multitude of options, and we always surprised by how many different projects can arise from this event.
There you have it. And so it was that I did corner the director of the Earlham Institute, Professor Neil Hall, to tell me more. Professor Neil Hall, you are the director here at the Earlham Institute, as I'm sure you know, you mind it every day. Tell us, for those who don't know, what is the Earlham Institute? You gave a very great potted summary in this event today.
So the Earlham Institute is a core government-funded research institute. focusing on data-driven bioscience, particularly looking into genomic data and applying that to challenges such as food security, so using genomes to identify genes which underlie important traits in crops, health, understanding, for example, how pathogens might evolve antimicrobial resistance, and also biotechnology, so synthetic biology and engineering biology, and how that can be used to generate high-value products.
So, what's the importance of an event such as EI Innovate to the Earlham and the people you've sort of pulled here from all across the country, all across the world?
It's a great question. So, obviously, we are in this building. There are about 130 odd scientists with expertise in computer science, molecular biology, engineering. But for the work we do, the discoveries that we make to have a difference, we need to work with companies, we need to work with other academics, we need to work with policymakers. And events like this are really just to get those people in the room with the research scientists and shake the jar and see what happens.
I love that. That's a very good summary. And you had some really great researchers, various stages of their PhD on presenting this morning, who are working really closely. What a great advert! You say these seeds companies that they're so closely embedded, they work so closely. How do you go about building those kind of relationships, or is that down to the researcher, or the firms that are on board from scratch?
Yeah, well, oftentimes it's from events like this or other events that are organised by Agritech East, or where we attend, companies attend, and then basically research scientists or breeders or other people working in industry to identify problems where they can work together. And one of the best ways actually to start a collaboration is with a PhD student who can just focus on that problem, which is the overlap between the company and the academic. And get the expertise from the academics here, maybe in genomics or bioinformatics, and as you heard from the companies where they learn everything about the value chain of a crop from breeding through to farming, which is really important for them, because then they have an understanding of not just the research but how that goes out into the real world. I hate the term the real world, but sometimes... No,
I can understand why it feels that way. And it's really fascinating you pick up on that kind of see a need, meet a need, and bring in people to help meet the need, because that, from what you said earlier, and correct me if I was wrong, but that sounded like very much how this institute got together in the first place. A need was spotted and a need's been met. That's
correct, yeah. So when genomic technology really started advancing in the UK, there was this fantastic centre where I used to work, actually, the Salmon and Marine Folgoas in Cambridge, which was funded by the Wellcome Trust. But the UKRI at the time, I think it's under a different name, realised that actually there's lots of other research in the bioscience area, environmental research, agritech research, and biodiversity research, which weren't benefiting from the revolution that was occurring. And so that's when they initially made this investment on the research part, partly because it's close to the John Innes Centre and what was then the Institute for Food Research, NUEA, to be able to sort of catalyse work in that area, provide this underpinning capability for the whole of the UK research community, and also build a training programme. And so we still do this advanced training where PhD students, postdocs, professors as well come and learn how to analyse different sorts of data sets that we generate as part of our regular research now.
Professor Neil Hall. Anyone who knows anything about the Norwich Research Park has heard about Tropic Bioscience, and part of their work is to save the humble banana. I peeled away Tropic's head of communications, Georgie Oatley, from a bunch of her colleagues to tell me more. The what? What? Well, I'm here with Georgie Oatley of Tropic Biosciences. What a pleasure to see you at this EI Innovate event today, Georgie. I'm waving my hands around, I don't know why, but what a lovely pleasure to see you here. So, it seems obvious. Why are you here? Why is Philip Zegerman here? Why are Tropic here today?
We're We're here today as part of the session on collaborations with industry that Earlham has. So Tropic's been working very successfully with the Earlham Institute for a number of years, and Phil will be talking about that partnership and about our product pipeline of bananas, which are now coming to market.
It's a fantastic sentence to hear said, our product pipeline on bananas. But it's so important because Tropic have done so much to, I don't want to be too irreverent, but save the banana. Last time I heard you Tropic speak about these things, like crazy things like the banana we know we eat today is not the original banana even. So that's amazing. So do you want to just, as far as you're able, clue us in a bit more as to what that partnership does?
We are saving the banana. Bananas are critical threats from a number of fungal diseases around the world. So we're developing new varieties that can withstand these threats and have natural disease resistance. So we're developing TR4 and BSD resistant bananas, as well as developing other trait qualities, including longer shelf life and non-browning banana varieties. So these are the first new commercial varieties for over 75 years. Before that, the last big innovation in commercial bananas was because the main commercially sold banana was totally wiped out by a fungal disease, and that was the banana that gave us the flavour of fake banana flavour as we know it now.
Yes.
So banana sweets used to actually, bananas did actually used to taste like those banana sweets, but that banana was wiped out in the 50s and replaced with the Cavendish. But the Cavendish is now a threat, and so that's what we're now working to save and develop new varieties of.
Save the Cavendish.
Yes.
It's like you're talking about a hotel, but it's we like the banana as is. I love my banana. Chips, frozen banana, just as God intended, however she wanted it. And what fantastic public service you do. Thank you very much for working towards saving the banana. I look very much forward to hearing what Philip's got to say this afternoon. But until then, Georgie Oatley of Tropic Biosciences, thank you very much. That's not only really, really important for Britain's beloved banana. Truly, our slapstick comedy sector is safe in Tropic's hands. Just then, I overheard the phrase, I really want us to be doing more in the east of England. And before you can say, big sky, big potential, I was pinning a radio mic to Jamie Pike and another bloke called Mike. Mike Lloyd of Innovate UK, could you just tell us something about what you do and why you're at this event?
So I'm a knowledge transfer advisor covering the east of England, so specifically Norfolk, Suffolk and Cambridgeshire. And what I do in my role is I bring together sort of universities and businesses to apply for Innovate UK funding as part of a knowledge transfer partnership. And this helps to fund projects between the university and a business to help accelerate economic growth for the business, helps the university to sort of deploy its research into a sort of a real world environment, and that work is facilitated through the recruitment of an associate who works for the university but is embedded within the company, and so is that conduit for knowledge transfer through the project.
Now, when we first had a go at recording this, we spent a lot of time looking at my next guest here, who is, I will ask you to introduce yourself and broadly what you do.
So my name's Jamie Pike, I'm a KTP associate. So I'm exactly the person that Mike's talking about. So I work for the Earlham Institute here at Norwich Research Park, but I'm embedded within a business called Tozer Seeds. And as part of the project that's ongoing between Tozer Seeds and Earlham, I'm bringing in some computational biology expertise to Tozer so that they can work on their breeding program. So they're a seed breeder.
That's fantastic. And so, Mike, we'll come back to Jamie in a second, but Mike, tell us what you've made of the morning so far.
No, it's been a fascinating morning. I mean, I think with a scientific background, I've clearly sort of have got really interested in sort of a lot of the talks that we've heard this morning, particularly Jamie's as well. And so it's great to see the expertise that they have at the Earlham Institute. And I think in my role, I want to sort of see how we can sort of leverage this and sort of help to sort of get some of this expertise fed into sort of local businesses and sort of help them to sort of really address some of the problems that they're encountering at the moment.
And you've got such a rich playground, I have to say, you've just mentioned, we're on the Norwich Research Park. You know, we got the John Innes Centre, which we did a huge tour of not so long ago. We're at the Earlham Institute, and obviously we got Jamie here as well. And then we were at Cambridge, dare we mention. How do you know where to start?
No, it's very tricky. I mean, we're very fortunate in terms of the fact that the knowledge transfer partnerships, they've been around for 50 years now. We're celebrating 50 years of partnerships, so it's clearly something which is very successful. There are currently, within the UK, 875 live projects across the UK. My region, we have quite a large number, particularly down in Essex. Essex are particularly strong in terms of, Essex University are particularly strong in terms of developing projects. And I'm hoping to sort of accelerate the uptake of KTPs in this particular region, particularly from the institutes on the Norwich Research Park, but also at the University of East Anglia, and also I'm talking with people within the Norwich University of the Arts as well. So, knowledge transfer partnerships, we're agnostic in terms of the technologies and the types of sectors that we address. So we don't just fund projects that are in scientific or technical backgrounds. They can be any sector. If the application scores above a particular threshold, then we're happy to score it. And so we do actually fund quite a lot of third sector, so non-for-profit or charity-based projects as well. So it's a rich tapestry, if you like, that we.
Well, as a not-for-profit myself, I'm delighted to hear that. But Jamie, just sort of encapsulate, if you could, particularly for people like me who aren't scientifically, don't have a scientific background, what your talk about in the room was about this morning.
So to summarise, Tozer Seeds are a plant breeding company. They produce vegetable seed for commercial growers, and it takes a really long time to breed new varieties. Specifically I focus on celery, and celery can take 15 new years to develop a new hybrid. And there's lots of problems that face crops that we grow, so climate change and pests and pathogens. And what we're aiming to do with this project is try and accelerate or speed up the breeding process. And what we can do is use the expertise from Earlham here to try and find specific parts of the celery genome that we can use to target in the lab. So we can do a test in the lab, find the parts of the plant that we're interested in, the genes that we're interested in, and then test for those in the new varieties and ensure that we're breeding the new varieties faster. So we can reduce the amount of screening that we have to do in the field because we can test in the lab.
When you used the phrase, I think at one point, male sterility in wild celery, which is a phrase I never thought I'd hear on a damp Wednesday morning in October. But what has that actual partnership, the KTP side, meant to you? What has it enabled you to do that perhaps just a simple conflab between Tozer Seeds and the Earlham might not have achieved?
So it's been fantastic because I'm actually embedded within Tozer. So I have an office, I have a desk in the R&D office at Tozer. I speak with the Tozer colleagues all day, every day. What we're able to do is ensure that the technologies that we're developing and the research that we're doing is tailored towards those, specific for Tozer, and something that's a real commercial benefit for them. So at the end of the day, we develop a program that means that Tozer Seeds themselves can speed up their celery breeding process. So we get to bring in that expertise from Earlham and really benefit the business.
Yes, because you mentioned they're actually based in Surrey, but you come from here, the Earlham Institute, and that's where the genius comes from, and that's perfect. We love that kind of collaboration. Mike, you indicated, and Jamie, feel free to chip in on this, but you indicated that there's more to do. Particularly in this part of the region, and this is something that Eastern Promise are really keen on. We're going to do soon things called beginners guides to Norwich, Ipswich, Cambridge, and it's all about how to make your start in that ecosystem, how to get a foot in and in the door, and how to across all sectors. But what can we do as an ecosystem in any of those places, or as a combined ecosystem, in fact, to help you create those partnerships and to help you raise the visibility of our region? I
mean, I think from the first point would be that there's just raising that awareness within sort of the local eco structure about what funding mechanisms are available. Now, knowledge transfer partnerships might be right for some companies, but not for others. So we have a due diligence process that we go through, and we'll assess whether companies are at a sufficient point in their journey to embark on a KTP. But if KTP isn't right, then there are other funding mechanisms that are offered by Innovate UK. There are local funding mechanisms as well that within the region, and so it's making sure that it all becomes aligned, and that sort of, if I don't have a particular sort of solution, I can point towards something else which might be more appropriate. And so it's just making sure that rather than sort of working in silos, that everybody is aware of what's available. I think that sort of certainly one of the messages I'm keen to get across is that sort of whilst PhD studentships are traditionally a very good way of sort of incorporating research into sort of a company, there are other mechanisms to sort of that can be achieved with, and KTP is just one of those.
It sounds like for listeners, a 1950s ambulance hasn't gone by. It's just the poster session is being advertised. But Jamie, just any reflections on that before I let you go and have your well-earned lunch?
I'll keep it short and sweet, and I just think that if anybody has the opportunity to do a KTP, they should do one.
That's nice. That is certainly as advertised. Short and sweet. Mike, where do people go to find out more about what Innovate UK offer?
So we have lots of information. So we have Innovate UK has a dedicated Business Connect website. There's also a dedicated website to KTP. So if you just type in KTP, any businesses that are sort of looking to learn more, please reach out. Please have a look on there. There are contact details to a relevant sort of knowledge transfer advisor who can then sort of talk to you about next steps.
That's fantastic. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Helena Saunders. I'm the head of research bioinformatics at Syngenta.
So you've been talking, you gave an excellent presentation that kind of really encapsulated collaboration with the Earlham Institute this morning. For those who weren't there, which will be quite a few of our listeners, could you just go over what you said in that presentation?
Yeah, so in summary, one of the things we're really thinking about at the moment and doing very actively within Syngenta is thinking about the biology of the species that we're interested from a crop protection point of view. And to really understand the biology, one of the things that we're really interested is in genomes and understanding how we can use the genomes to predict properties about those species of interest. And this is where a partnership with the Earlham Institute is really, really inspiring and something that we're actively driving at the moment, because they have that background in bioinformatics and genomic large language models, which is one of the key capabilities that we want to bring in-house at Syngenta.
That's fantastic. And collaboration is so important, and obviously Syngenta thinks they've got the Earlham Institute is a really fabulous first-rate partner in terms of that excellence and producing that knowledge as well. Well, what really struck me was at the end when you highlighted the contribution of a PhD student from the Earlham. Yeah. And you said that these words, which really, as I borrowed themselves into my head, we don't want her to be poached by a competitor. So you clicked, and she immediately switched from PhD student on one side to full-time member of the team on another. Yeah. And I mean, that's not like a fairy tale that happens to everybody all the time. But I mean, could you just go through what was it about that student and the Earlham that made that kind of leap common sense for Syngenta?
Yes, I think what we're talking about here is really a cutting-edge technology that hasn't been around for very long, and that's actively sort of being developed at the moment. And so it's really difficult to recruit in that space, because you can't find people who sort of have 5+ years experience in this space. You can find people who are now working on it, and they've started and they're doing really great work. And Lucy is one of these PhD students who, I think she started in traditional machine learning, and then halfway through realized, okay, genomic large language models are the next big thing. I'm going to focus on that. So she's one of these sort of unicorns that actually has this skill set that we're really interested in. And this is why I think sort of the partnership and being there and seeing these PhD students grow and the skills that they develop allows us to see, well, actually, this is something that we really want to bring in-house. And so we started the conversations early, made sure that we actually found a position that that suited her and that we could have her continue on the project.
That's marvellous. And so Syngenta seems so big from the presentation. This real global footprint.
Yes.
So do you want to talk a bit more about what Syngenta actually does sort of for the world
Yeah, so essentially we enable growers to grow crops better with higher yield and to do it more sustainably. That's ultimately our aim. And for that we have a huge R&D pipeline which goes all the way from sort of early stage discovery all the way through to getting regulatory approval for the products that we bring to market. And with bioinformatics we sit very early in the R&D pipeline, so we're very much at the discovery stage. But I think one of the most amazing things about working for such a big company is seeing how it can really then be brought out into the world and the impact it has because of the amount of growers that we work with and that we deliver against.
And where does Earlham sit in kind of the pantheon of all your, because I'm imagining a firm like Syngenta will have partners all over the place. Where does Earlham and all the sort of the Norwich Research Park sit in that pantheon of partners?
Yeah, so we have lots of different partners around the R&D, so structured throughout the R&D pipeline, and the Earlham Institute for us is really at this early stage discovery exploratory research. I think this is where I think working with an academic institute is really exciting for us because it brings in novel technologies but also novel ideas. And one of the efforts we're going through now is actually identifying what are the key challenges that we continuously face and can we bring them to the Earlham Institute and sort of see how do we resolve this, and do you have any bright new ideas for us? And this is where we've been getting a lot back and things that we're now looking to bring into our R&D pipeline.
Well, that's wonderful. It was a fascinating talk. It's brilliant you're here. Helena Saunders, thank you very much for talking to me this afternoon, whenever we are.
So much for having me. Very good to speak with you.
Thank you.
So I'm Marine Folgoas. I'm a first-year PhD student. I started 9 months ago.
Wow.
Yes, so it's quite new.
Fantastic.
Yes, and I'm working in the fungus G. tritici. This is a pathogen of wheat, so that's caused the disease thecal. So the symptom is darkening of the roots and the bodies of the stems. The leaves start to be yellow too, and also that's caused a very big crop loss, yield losses. My whole PhD, is focused especially understand the spread infections, chemical resistance, do population genomics too, to understand the whole lifestyles of my fungus.
I mean, they said posters, but I wasn't quite well. This is amazing. This is.
Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you.
That's all right. So you've described it brilliantly, but I'm kind of interested in what is it brought you to do your PhD here at the Earlham?
Yeah, so initially, I did my bachelor and master in France.
I mean, bienvenue at Earlham Institute, and it's great. It's great you're here, and it's fantastic. But I'm just curious as to why.
Yes, it's because first I would like to do my PhD abroad. First, and also because I would I know always I would like to do a PhD in genomics in plant and fungi. So when I started to research my PhD, I just discovered Earlham Institute, and I was wow, that's a nice place to do my PhD. Very good reputations, and also I just try to to find more about what is Earlham Institute, and I just discovered this nice place, very open mind, a lot of work about well-being too. So that's very nice about this.
I'm going to sort of segue away from science a minute, but are you enjoying living here in the east of England? Are you finding it welcoming?
Yes, initially I'm from Nice, so it's very different.
It is very different from Nice.
But I like it. That's a very nice city. It's not this region in Norwich is not very big. It's not very tiny. For me, it's a nice size. We can do a lot of things, and at the same time we have the countryside near to here. I have a bicycle, for example, so with a bicycle I can just go where I want it.
Well, that's fantastic, and it's bringing you're taking a huge part in this event. There's this huge, colourful poster. I mean, I can't pretend to understand all of it because I'm not a scientist, but it's really exciting, and it just goes to show you've really sort of to have you 1 month ago and boom, you clearly that's really impressive. So I'm going to stop going on about it now, Maroon. Thank you very much for speaking to me, and I wish you all every success with your PhD, and enjoy being here at the Earlham, here in Norwich and the east of England. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I should have said au revoir. I missed my chance then. What is this poster competition anyway?
So this is kind of showcasing the work that I'm doing. So I'm working as part of a multidisciplinary team, and the aim is to sort of help solve food insecurity by using...
Really important.
Yeah, by sort of applying kind of breakthroughs in genomics and synthetic biology that are now sort of available to us. So my project is working in potato, and the aim of this project is kind of a blue sky project to be able to design and synthesize an artificial chromosome that we can introduce into potato, and that artificial chromosome will be able to contain things like we could put disease resistance on it or nutritional benefits that you could introduce into potato to protect it against disease or to enhance its nutrition that will help it to be more robust and be able to sort of survive against the changing climate or other agricultural stresses.
Well, as a lover of the noble Jackie Spud, that is truly a public service. So you've got this kind of the aims of pathway. I'm floundering slightly because I'm still. What you put it perfectly there, and this is like a bit more complex than I can.
What we want to do is we're trying to build a very long bit of DNA, and on that big bit of DNA, we can ideally put anything, so things that would improve disease resistance, so different genes that would improve disease resistance, different genes that are going to help the nutrition. So the challenge of this project is to be able to, how do we build big bits of DNA? And once we've built that big bit of DNA, how do we get that big bit of DNA into potato in a stable way that it will be able to stay there? And so my part of the project is in the building part. So we're trying to put when you produce genes, you have things that are called promoters and terminators, and they tell the gene, like, this is where you need to start, this is what time you need to turn on, this is how strong you're going to be, like how much are you going to make. And so those are really important, as well as what is it that you're making. Are you making a molecule that's going to help disease? Are you making something that's important for nutrition? So what we need to, so as well as the building, we also need to design. So ours is sort of informing the design by basically saying, okay, we've got promoters and terminators that are going to have different strengths, but we need to basically say, well, this one's a good one, this one's a weaker one, this one's going to be this turned on at this particular time, and so what I'm trying to build is a system to be able to characterize that, to be able to say, okay, you've given us all these bits of DNA, I'm going to tell you which one's the best, which one's the weakest. And we're basically building a system that will use luminescence, so the enzyme that comes from fireflies that makes them glow. So we use that as a way to measure the strength of the DNA. So the more, the brighter it is, the stronger the gene is. Yeah. The promoter is, the weaker it is, the weaker the promoter is. So what we're doing is because potato, there's not a lot of resources for potato, so we need to build the resources for potato to be able to use them to build DNA. So we're working with another team at the Earlham Institute that are doing looking at the transcriptomes, genomics of the potato, to be able to say, here's some promoters that are produced in tubers. So we want to produce them in the tubers because that's what makes the potatoes. And what we want to do is we want to test those things and say which ones are strong, which ones are weak. And then the people that are going to design the chromosomes can use that information to be able to design in their design of the chromosomes. So yeah, it's.
I understood every word of that, so thank you very much. But I say, what you do in the role you're playing in I mean, obviously, not all the world has a potato-based diet, but there's plenty of bits that do, and what you're doing is fantastic in an era where good food, real food, is more scarce than ever. And to enable people to sort of grow their own crops and for those crops to survive is so important, and it's marvellous. And thank you for talking me through this, Melissa. It's really amazing, and I take my hat off to you. And I shall now stop rambling and wish you all every success in this, but more importantly, with your research. Thank you very much.
What a huge pleasure to join the team at the Earlham Institute for EI Innovate. It was a particular joy to talk to the PhD candidates and to have the Earlham Institute singled out as a destination by trainee scientists from across Europe and beyond. It made me feel incredibly proud, and just imagine then what that must do for Lilia, Professor Neil Hall and the rest of the team. My thanks to Lilia, to Sarah Brady and Saskia Hervey for inviting me to come along and find out more. If you'd like to know more about the Earlham Institute, then visit earlham.ac.uk, or you can follow the link in the notes to this podcast. And that is it. That's it for this episode 147 of the Eastern Promise podcast. I have been Mike Rigby, and will be so again next week, when we'll be on Cambridge Science Park, paying a visit to this region's foremost collective of professional problem solvers, Cambridge Consultants. I'll be in the company of Global Head of Biotechnology, Francis Metcalf, and Richard Traherne of Capgemini's Next Frontiers Global Leadership Team. That's all to come in 7 teeny-weeny tiny days. So until then, bye for now. To hear other episodes of the Eastern Promise podcast and to find out more about what we do, go to our website at easternpromise.org.uk. Eastern Promise is a Pudding Shed production in proud association with Mills and Reeve. Achieving more together.